Hey guys, let's get straight to the point. This feature on the Fujifilm cameras is probably one of the most underrated functions that I've ever seen, or I've never seen actually. This is the raw development feature in the Fujifilm cameras. It's been there almost forever because I'm going to show you guys with the XE2, which is almost like a 10 years old ago camera from Fujifilm, and it has the raw development feature as well. Same thing with the latest one, X-T4, XE4, they all have this raw development feature. This is for you to develop or to basically edit the photos or the raw photos that you have taken with the camera in camera. Then you can export it to your phone or your tablet or your computer directly, so you don't have to have any editor or photo editors like the Lightroom or Photoshop or anything on your computer to edit the photos. And actually it is quite powerful. I'll show you guys the before and after photos using the raw developer in the camera. So let's jump straight into it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys a photo that I've taken before. This is a raw photo. I always shoot with JPEG plus RAW, and you have to have a raw photo in order to use the raw developer function on the Fujifilm cameras. What you need to do is to press onto the menu button on your Fujifilm camera, and you'll see all kinds of options. Ignore everything else, just go to raw conversion, or if you want to crop it, you can crop that. And let's go into raw conversion first. So here, the features that I use, I'll show you guys the ones that I use, and they're probably the most effective one when you are editing photos. If you think the exposure of your photo is off, let's say it's too bright or if it's too dark, you can go to push-pull processing, and you have the ability to change the exposure value, which is the EV. If you go up, it will make the picture brighter. If you go down, it will make the picture darker. So the photos that I took, it was a little bit too bright to my liking, so I'll probably just have it at -1/3 EV. So you just need to press OK to confirm it. One thing that I wish they can include in this raw developer inside the Fujifilm camera is if they can show the live update of each editing that you do, that will be great, because even with the latest camera, let's say the X-T4, you will have to go and press the Q button to create the picture, but it's not saved yet. It is just giving you the effect of the editing you have done so far. And if you want to save it, you press OK. If not, you can press the back button to go back. So you will have to do that every time in order to see what you have done for the editing. So that's the only annoying part. But once you have the hang of it, once you're used to it, you'll just be able to go to the Q menu and then back and do more editing. So let me show you. So if I actually increase the EV, let's say to +1, you'll see that the photo is super bright. So what I'm going to do is for this photo right here, I think I'll like to have -1/3 EV. That looks pretty good because the highlight is pretty protected. The shadow is still pretty good. The next thing is you have the ability to change or to add, I should say, film simulation. Within the raw photo, there's no simulation or film simulation applied. So you have the ability to adjust it or apply it right now. You have the ability to choose any film simulations available on your camera. With the XE2, I always like to have the classic chrome. And I can always check the effect by going to the Q button. If I don't like it, I can change it to, let's say, Pro Neg High. You'll see the effect right there. Again, I wish they can show you the live update instead of you having to jump between the Q button and the back button all the time. And also here, we have the ability to change the white balance. Let's say if you think the white balance is off, let's say you're using a custom white balance and you think it's too cold or too warm, you have the ability to change it here. Or if you use auto white balance, which I always do on the Fujifilm camera, I trust the camera white balance. Color-wise, Fujifilm, they have it, they got it. So I always use auto white balance, but if you want to adjust it, you can adjust it here. I have it set to auto, so I'm not going to touch it. white balance shift, this is really important. But I'm going to talk about it a little bit later because I want to talk about the basics first. Color, basically, you have the ability to make it more colorful or saturated or not. Usually, when I take the raw photos, I will set it to low or medium low just to have a really desaturated photo to begin with. But here, don't be afraid, it's not going to make it super high contrast. So I'm just going to set it to high and show you guys. So this is high, especially for classic chrome, it's not going to be that saturated, so don't worry. And if you change it to low and take a look, this is low. So you can have a little bit of a comparison. One thing I wish they can do is when you press the back button, they will go back to the previous whatever option that you're on instead of going back to the first item and you have to press multiple times just to get back to the item that you were on. So I'm going to set the color to high. Sharpness, same thing. You have the ability to set the sharpness of your photo. Usually when I take the raw photo, I'll set it to standard. I don't think Fujifilm cameras are over sharpening the images anyway, so I'm not too afraid of that. And if you are planning to use this photo that you're about to develop directly on social media or like Facebook, Instagram, whatever that you're sharing with, they usually will compress your photos to a point that it's super pixelated almost compared to the original JPEG that you're about to develop. So I would suggest you to set it to medium high or medium hard or even hard just to make your image as sharp as possible for you to upload. That's just my little tip right there. So again, you can check the sharpness, but one thing about this developer is you can't really punch in, you can't really zoom in to check the sharpness anyway, so it doesn't really make any difference if you set it to low or soft or hard for now. You can't really see it until you really develop it. But I'll set it to hard just to have the sharpest image possible. Highlight tone, this is for you to set if you want the highlight to be brighter or you want the highlight to be brighter. Yes, that's the word. Just make it brighter. Hard means the highlight is going to be brighter. Soft means you want to protect the highlight if it's kind of blown out already. So hard means kind of trying to overexpose your highlight. It's just like an S curve. Whatever that you set here, highlight tone and shadow tone, if you set everything to high or I think hard here on the XE2, that means you're creating an S curve. So if you're if the curve is a straight line to begin with, if you set the highlight to high or hard, it will be a bump upward. And for shadow, if you set it to hard, it will be a bump downward. So if you set everything to hard, that means it's going to be an S curve. If you want to lift the shadow, you can set it to soft, but keep in mind, this is not really like a curve that you can adjust. So it will be kind of softening or lifting the shadow on the entire image if you select soft. So it's not that great from my experience. So I have changed the highlight tone to hard and the shadow tone to hard as well. Now you can see that it should make the image really contrasty just like that. So that's how it looks like. I'll show you guys how it looks like if I set the shadow tone to soft and the highlight tone to soft. It will make the entire image really soft. Say to highlight and also lifting the shadow. So protecting the highlight, lifting the shadow. For this image, I don't mind it to be a little bit more contrasty. So I'll set the highlight tone to hard and the shadow tone to hard as well. And it looks pretty good to me already. I think this is really good because now you can click on OK to store the image or to develop it into a JPEG, a high quality JPEG, and you can send it directly to your devices to upload straight to whatever platforms that you are going to upload it to. So you are skipping using a photo editor on your iPad, iPhone, or any Android devices or PC or Mac computer. So you don't really need to pay for those photo editors. That's the beauty of Fujifilm cameras, raw developers. I don't think I've seen this feature in other cameras that own. So this is really great. One more thing I want to show you guys, actually that is the biggest thing to this RAW developer, is white balance shift. Here you have the ability to set the color tone of the image. So let's say your white balance is correctly set with auto or custom white balance, whatever white balance you have. Now, if you go into white balance shift, you have the ability to set the color tone to make it either cooler, go into blue, you see the blue arrow, or make it warmer by going to the yellow arrow. Or if you want something that is teal-ish kind of color, you can go up to blue and to the left, which is green, to make it a little bit more teal. If you want, let's say, a fall color orangey kind of look, you can go to the red and yellow to make it warmer with an orange tone. So basically you're just mixing the color of blue, teal, red, and yellow. So it's completely up to you. With this image, because it's a rainy day, I can probably go with -2 and 2, which is kind of like a teal-ish color with blue and green. Let's take a look and see what it looks like. So this is with the teal-ish kind of tone. This is really, really nice already. So I'm sure this is good enough for a lot of people when you are planning to upload it to social media. This is probably way more than enough. Unless you really want to tweak like specific color or anything applied to, let's say, shadow, midtone, or highlight individually, then you will need, of course, a software or an app like Lightroom. But here, it will be applied to the entire image. That's the only drawback. So if it looks super funky after applying the white balance shift, that means you might need an actual photo editor, a software. Let me change it to a warmer tone to show you guys. So now I'm going to show you guys how to do it to make the picture a little bit warmer with a little bit of red, a little bit of yellow. So it's completely opposite of what we have done earlier, and you can see the difference. It's pretty significant. So this is with the white balance shift set to a little bit of an orangey tone. I kind of like this too. So why don't we set this? Let's double check our settings first, because once you press OK to save the image or to develop the image, you can't go back to change the settings. It will be from scratch again. That's the one more thing that I wish they can allow you to do, is to go back and to tweak the settings if you have saved the picture already, but too bad, it's a developer. So once it's developed, it's there. And another thing is when you have, let's say, this settings dialed in for this picture, let's say you have taken multiple pictures during that day with similar scenes, you cannot copy the settings and paste it onto your other RAW photos. That's one more drawback compared to an actual photo editor, because a photo editor, let's say Lightroom or Lightroom Mobile, Lightroom CC, it will allow you to copy and paste your presets and apply it to all the RAW photos that you have, or JPEGs that you have taken. So it's much faster. But this is good because if you are only editing 1 or 2 images on the go, this is amazing. So I have set the EV to -1/3, film simulation, my favorite, on the XE2, which is classic chrome, a little bit of a muted tone. White balance, I didn't touch it, it's auto. White balance shift, a little bit warmer, a little bit orangey kind of color. I set it to high because it's actually not that saturated anyways. Sharpness, hard. I just want to make it as sharp as possible. Trust me, it's not going to be that digitally sharpened. So don't worry about the sharpening on the Fujifilm camera. They're not doing it super harsh. Highlight tone, hard to make it a little bit overexposed. Shadow, hard to kind of push the shadow down. Oh, I forgot to mention noise reduction. I never use noise reduction. So I always set it to low. I don't like noise reduction because with Fujifilm cameras, especially, their noise is more like film grain. So I'm not too, I don't mind them, basically. The noise in Fujifilm images, they are nice. They look nicer compared to other camera brands. So I always set the noise reduction to low because I don't want the noise reduction to make my image softer. So I always keep this to low. So everything is good. Color space, I never touch it. It's always sRGB. And now you are ready to create or develop this JPEG, or this RAW into JPEG, I should say. So press the Q button here. If you like this, again, I wish they will allow you to punch in, zoom in, whatever, to check the actual image, like the details, but it doesn't allow you to do it until you really develop it. So I'm gonna press OK, and it will develop the picture and put it in the last photo. So if this photo is in the middle of your folder or your SD card, it's not going to be right beside it. I wish it's right beside it so you can kind of compare it back and forth, but it's going to be the last image. I think it's a file naming system that doesn't allow it to be sitting beside this photo. So once I press OK, it will show you the original raw photo back. This is the raw photo. Now let's jump to the developed one. I am going to put this one on the screen and also the developed JPEG to show you guys the difference. And this is the developed JPEG photo that we have just edited using the raw conversion or the raw developer in the Fujifilm cameras. Now, if you press the menu button, it will not allow you to edit it even further because it is not a raw image anymore, it's just a JPEG, but you have the ability to crop it, resize it. I think this is really cool. If you want to crop it, you can actually just, let's see. Oh no, cropping uses the zoom button on the XE2. Totally forgot. And you can move around, you can see that you're cropping this image. So this is really cool as well. The only thing is it doesn't allow you to rotate the image to fix any kind of misalignment, but this picture, it seems okay to me without cropping, so this is the result I like. And that's it. This is one of my favorite Fujifilm camera features that I think no one really talked about. And I've never seen anything specifically for this feature, but this is really, really handy, especially if you like Fuji colors, you like the film simulations, and you like how the JPEG come out of Fuji cameras, then you don't really need to have a photo editor on your computer or on your smart devices to edit your photo. This should be good enough. After developing this, you have the ability to just send it directly to your devices and you can upload them on your platforms anywhere. That's it. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.